This is just something because someone sent me a message. They follow me on my new YouTube channel, but she sent me a message on Twitter saying, "Oh, June, tell us what it's like behind the scenes." Behind the scenes of what? What? This is just me on my phone talking to you. There's no behind the scenes. You might be able to hear my washer going sometimes and my dog's barking, but there's no team of people. Someone else has offered to make me more professional, get me a more professional look to my channel, and he can probably do this for as little as £500. 500 quid? Sod off! I can switch my phone on myself. I'm not doing it with my tongue. There's nothing goes on behind the scenes other than what goes on in everyday life. I do get a lot of messages from admirers, I suppose you'd call them. They're always in their 80s and they have like special accompaniments to get themselves in the mood for doing the wild thing, and why they think I'd be interested in that. I never put anything on that would lead you to think that. I mean, I'm way beyond that. The last thing I want to do is the wild thing with a stranger. I don't even want to look at me undressed, let alone think someone else is having first dibs at my bloody age. Good grief. I don't even fold up properly anymore. I'm like a Blackpool deck chair. Once you've finished with me, everything's everywhere. So, yeah, I do get things like that from time to time. I'm usually more interested in what's happening because they're always in the bathroom. I don't know why men do that. So it's a selfie. You can see camera doing it in the mirror. And then I look round at all tiling and I screenshot it and then circle up dirty towel and say, your grout wants cleaning. Send them a picture of Detox Mould and Mildew Remover. When they say, have you got any photographs? I go, oh yeah, I have. And send them a picture of Detox Mould and Mildew Remover. I don't take these things seriously. There's some nasty pieces of work as well, but I just block them now. I don't bother with them. But there's nothing behind. Please believe this is never going to be any better than it is now, because all I'm interested in is knowing full well that what's brought it to the forefront for me was lockdown and how people were left on their own. So many people who haven't got access to family quickly. I don't know if I told you about this one, but a woman contacted me, during lockdown from Australia, and her dad was going in for his cataracts doing. I think they do one at a time. And they lived together in sheltered accommodation, and he was a carer for his wife, her mother, because she'd got onset dementia. But because his cataracts were getting bad, he was struggling a bit, and lockdown hit. Now imagine this, lockdown hit, and so his cataract operation was cancelled. So he basically went blind over the next few weeks. He couldn't see and he kept damaging himself. He was spilling water from the kettle on his hand and he couldn't heat food up. And he couldn't go out because we weren't allowed to go out. How dreadful is that? What sort of country does that to you? So unfortunately they didn't see him as being fit to be her carer. So they took her away into care. It gets worse. They took her into care, but man, I'm getting a message from a woman in Australia who can't travel because of lockdown. The wife goes into care, they've been married 64 years, and he's distraught. He can't see properly, he's left on his own, so a neighbour is bringing him sandwiches, not supposed to share food, remember all that, so that he could eat, and telling him what to put on with his clothing because he couldn't work out what his clothing was. His sight was so poor. So eventually he gets taken into a home. Not the same one as his wife. But what sort of country does that to you? So there were some really dreadful things going on, and this woman in Australia was distraught because she couldn't get to her mum and dad. It's very sad because the old lady passed away in the home. Obviously she'd wonder where the hell she was. I don't know what happened to the man, but taking that aside, it is so important to make contact with people that are on your wavelength, find your tribe. It's really important because we don't know what's happening in the future. We're giving lots of powers away to NGOs, non-government organisations. It's already happened. Tony Blair set them all up. He's the one that set up all these quangos like the Electoral Commission and Ofcom. He designed all that. And what was that for? Well, that's to devolve powers, like to these mayors, to make them so powerful in their own right that they can overcome the basic laws of the land. I mean, Ofcom are all over GB News, which is why it's gone off the boil. And have they really done any good? Because they only seem to attack one side of the narrative. Have you noticed that? But all these quangos were set up during Tony Blair's reign. That's why I say, when he was running the country, he didn't just run the country. He changed so much. He changed the entire face of the civil service. You know, the higher up ones, the important ones that run the country. And set these quangos up. And non-government organisations, the worst of which we're now viewing, which is the WHO, with the WHO pandemic treaty and its basic implications. The trouble is, depending on how you read the pandemic treaty, it depends on your interpretation of it. Like laws during lockdown, depends how you interpret the laws. So it's always left to the boots on the ground. So your MPs will tell you there's nothing to worry about. Well, in essence, there isn't, if everybody behaves themselves and does the right thing. But do you feel like trusting Parliament to do the right thing right now? Do you feel like your trust's in the right place? Do you feel like, well, we don't need to worry about the WHO pandemic treaty because our MPs will look, they'll make sure nothing happens to us? I don't ever see that. So when I started doing this YouTube thing, I haven't set it up, it's not branded, there's never going to be any music leading into me coming on and like some flash and subscribe and hit the bell and donate this and whatever. We're not going down that road. This is as professional as it gets. I'm not trying to be professional. I'm just trying to reach people who are prepared to listen to me longer than 2 minutes and 50 seconds, which is about my average video on Twitter and Facebook. Facebook's now impossible, really. But for what we want from this, from what I think we want from this, is we need to be able to let off steam without getting blocked or cancelled. And we need to talk about normal, everyday stuff. And part of doing my blogging, as I have done, it does attract some weirdos and unsavoury characters. We can just flick the unsavoury ones out the way. But, you know, some of them, there is an element of entertainment with them. I mean, one woman asked me if I was going on tour. On tour? To do what? I can't play anything and you don't want me bloody singing. So what, to do this on tour, get up in the morning and stand there? I mean, all right, I am a bit more smutty on Twitter because it's a bit more liberalised, isn't it, really? So I watch my P's and Q's when I'm on YouTube. I'm on my best behaviour, really, on here. So for the lady who asked about what goes on behind the scenes, this is it. This is it. There's a dog in the basket here. In fact, Jeff, what's this? Oh, he's not having it. He's asleep. Wise move. And this is the first nice day we've had today. And I've got my washing out. So as you can see, it's very high tech. I switch my phone on, I speak into it, I switch it off and then I post it to YouTube. That's all that's going on. There won't be any credits rolling for Alt Team. Somebody said, why don't you have a word with your team about your typos on Twitter? I am the team. I'm making typos. I post too fast sometimes and I forget that you can't edit it on Twitter. You can, but it's a crap system. On Facebook, if you've made a balls up, you can just go in and alter it, but you can't on Twitter. It puts 2 posts up for a while. It's a bit odd. So there is no team to back me up to do proofreading. And I'm not writing for the Telegraph. I'm writing for me on my Twitter page. So if you don't like it, you can always move on. There's like, what, 600 million people on Twitter. We're not going to agree with all of them, are we? So if you don't like what I put, move on. Same with YouTube. You don't need to come on the thread and tell me, what did somebody put yesterday? Oh, yawn, how to waste 6 minutes. Yeah, you've wasted your 6 minutes because you don't want to listen. So go somewhere, go and play up your own end. Go and have a look at what people are talking about that you like instead of coming on my channel and telling me you don't like it. Just don't come on. I don't go on a channel to say, I've come on here to tell you I don't like how you're doing it. That is an absolute waste of time. So what I hope to do as well is I'm going to cover more topics as life unfolds in the future, in this new exciting future that we seem to have mapped out for ourselves. But anyway, tonight I'm on fish again with a nice glass of white wine. And for those of you who saw my YouTube video about Lockdown Wine Club, someone's putting it out that I have a drink problem. I do not have a drink because I can do a drunk. I could immediately, for some reason or other, go straight into drunk and stupid about quite easily. It's just the sort of knack I have. And funny enough, I've never really been around many drunks unless I'm watching something in the House of Lords, of course. They're usually snoozing it off, aren't they, after a nice liquid lunch. So I can assure you, I don't have a drink problem. And what I intend to do is just pop on and off YouTube. If something crops up, I might think, oh, I'll post about that. But there's no team of people. There's just what you see before your very eyes.